Dreamy everyone, Niev here with the Rainbow Cauldron, and this is your weekly general reading for September 16th through the 22nd, 2018. And I do apologize that I've been gone for a little while now, a couple months. There's been things like vacations and getting sick and things like that, and I am sorry that it's been such a long time since I've done reading. It's been difficult to find the time to actually sit down and do some tarot readings, but I hope that is all in the past and we can start moving forward and I can have more of these. So if you're new to this channel, what I do for my weekly general readings is I pull one card from an oracle deck and 3 cards from a tarot deck, and the oracle deck card represents the general theme of the week, something to think about, while the three tarot cards represent the general flow of energy throughout the week. All right, so let's get started. Oh, before we start, I forgot to say that this week and the next couple weeks, the oracle card deck I'll be using is the Druid Animal Oracle deck, and the tarot deck I'm using is actually the Wildwood Tarot that I have kept in this bear box. And it's made out of cedar, and these have been in this box for so long that these cards actually smell like cedar, so it's pretty interesting. Alright, now let's get started. Alright, so we have the owl. Alright. Okay, excellent. So, I am going to read what it says in the book, but before I get to that, I'm just going to sort of give my impressions of the card and what I think that it means. And owls are generally a symbol of wisdom. So I very much strongly believe there's something about being knowledgeable here, and more than just knowledge, but like wisdom, deep wisdom. And since it's the moon out, that's a sign of mystery, and the owls are nocturnal, so there's a sense of seeing in the dark, of being able to see even though it's dark around. There's a lack of knowledge, therefore mystery around, but the owl shows deep wisdom and seeing in the dark. So, that's my impression of this. Let's see what it actually says in the book. So, the owl. So the keywords here is detachment, wisdom, and change. So the meaning here. The word they have here is Kalyak Icha, which basically means night wisdom, or Kalyak is an old wise crone witch character, and night is what Icha means. So it basically means like night witch, or night woman of the night, but not like that sense, not woman of the night, but a knowledgeable woman of night. So Kalyak Icha teaches us the wisdom of turning a disadvantage into an advantage. So that makes a lot of sense, since the owl is nocturnal. The night is, for most animals, a disadvantage, but it's an advantage for the owl because the owl is nocturnal. So for most birds, the coming of darkness renders it impossible for them to feed, but the owl's exceptional hearing enables it to pick out and swoop on unsuspecting prey during the night. Twilight has been described as owl light, and going for a quiet walk in the woods at this shimmering time of twilight is an excellent way to develop a sensibility to the other world and the inner soul of nature. You may feel drawn to a study of esoteric lore or clairvoyance. Working with the owl as your ally will help you to do this. All right, so there, like I was saying before, it's that whole turning a disadvantage into an advantage. That's really touching upon the fact that the owl is nocturnal and it really thrives at night. So there is a mystery going on, a darkness, but we have the ability to turn that darkness into light and to see the wisdom behind the situation. And there's also a sort of deep connection to the other world, and like it said, feeling drawn to esoteric lore or clairvoyance, seeing what can't be seen. All right, so let's move on to the tarot cards. So we have the Nine of Air, which is also swords. That's what air represents here. In this deck, the swords are represented by arrows. But it's also the air deck. And then we have the Six of Fire, which is wands. And finally, the Eight of Fire, also wands. All right, so the Nine of Air. So typically in normal tarot decks, the Nine of Swords or Air represents a lot of worry, anxiety, even insomnia. So there's a lot of feeling of being plagued by anxiety or worry, especially about our health. And I feel like this is very much reflecting my own situation right now. I have been very worried about my health lately, almost obsessively so. I've been quite worried about my health lately, and so this card in particular is really speaking to me personally, but I feel like it, since these are general readings, this is something that may be affecting a lot of us right now. Just a general worry going on. And in this card, however, it's a little bit different. Typically, this card is represented by a person sitting up in bed, holding their head like they've got a headache or a stress headache, something like that. And then there's 9 swords on the wall behind them. Here we have 8 of the arrows behind this woman, and she is holding one of the arrows. So she's still worrying. There's most of the difficult situation is behind her, but she's still worrying, and her head is down, her eyes are droopy, but she is walking away from most of those arrows. So it's almost like this, we're near the end of our mental ordeal. We're near the end of this trying time. And she is moving forward. This card also tells us to start confronting our worries and fear. And so she's still holding one of those arrows, and she has it against her bow there. So I feel like she is... she's moving past the past, moving past the difficult time, but still confronting her issue. And so let's move on to the Six of Fire, which is also wands here. Typically this is a success card, and the typical image for the Six of Wands is a person sitting on a high horse, while with a crown and laurels, and there's a bunch of people around this person cheering, and it generally represents self-confidence, being sort of lauded for your achievements, and people looking to you. And whereas in this card there's actually no people in this card. This is a card without people here, but we can see there's a bunch of baskets of fruits and produce and things like that in the front, so that we are seeing that success aspect of this card here. And since it's in the middle of the woods, we see all these dark woods around it. I feel like this is sort of a coming out of the darkness that we saw here, moving past that ordeal. We're coming out of the darkness and going to a focus. We're going to the light, literally here. And there's a solution. There's some sort of solution that we are right there on. Success, but we haven't yet reached the end of the ordeal, but we are experiencing a level of success here. And focus. All right, so the last card is the Eight of Fire, or Wands. And so the Eight of Fire typically is represented by a bunch of wands being slanted down, like they're all being thrown, and it's sort of a card of energy and quick movement and things happening. And whereas in this card, it's sort of like we've had two different situations here. Here we're having a lot of people cheering, and there's support, the good times, good news, and news is also something that is typically associated with the Eight of Wands. So things are happening and moving. We're receiving a long-awaited message or news, and celebrating that message with friends and family. Now, a more literal translation of the Eight of Fire is a possible travel with or to family. So that may be in the cards this week for you. All right, so a recap of what's going on. So the general energy, theme is a sort of seeing in the dark, finding the wisdom in a dark situation, turning a disadvantage into an advantage. In our past here, we're experiencing a lot of worry and anxiety, possibly about our health or a lot of other things, with a focus on confronting those worries and fears and knowing that we are near the end of our mental ordeal. Then we have a sort of focus on the solution, self-confidence. We haven't reached the end yet, but we have a renewed sense of confidence and success. And finally, the news we've been waiting for, the message we've been waiting for, and celebrating that message with those closest to us, with a support group, with a supportive friends and family. And so, yeah, so that is the reading for this week. I hope you have a great week and you get past your mental ordeals if you're experiencing that. And I will see you next week. Blessed be. Bye.